Come on, download. You can do it. You're almost there. Is anyone else having trouble downloading stuff from itch.io? My computer just does not seem to like downloading from here. Well, I don't know what it is. Okay, the download bar is almost there. Hey. Ah, okay, cool. It's completed. Let's go and do file management stuff. Elden Ring, no! I will not be playing Elden Ring today, unfortunately. We'll be playing a visual novel today. Let's see here. Down, down, no, 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 no. Down, no, 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 no. Yeah, I need a bit of a longer break from Elden Ring. It's damn. I I was in that wizard place and I hated it and it was horrible. I had a rough time. You haven't started Elden Ring yet, have you? Let's see. There we go. Stronger than me. Oh. I feel ya. Let's see. So this game is called the Underglow. You can download it for free on itch.io. And it is quite a psychedelic experience from what I've seen. Underglow.io pog. Woo! Let's see. Is it listed as a game? There's Underflow, so we'll just do games and demos. All right. So it is displaying properly, I think. Let's fit this window within the bounds of the screen. All right. Continue to know and then begin a new. Let's do it. Why are we opening Steam? No. Don't open Steam. It's cold. Or is it hot? There's an immense pressure from all sides, centering in towards a confluence of something. Or nothing? Or a rushing of water aches from within. Or without. Begging to be released. Or let in. You want to release it. You want to let it in. You want to escape it. You want to curl up in it. You. Do you want? What do you want? Want. 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 To begin or end. It's time to wake up and become, or destroy, who you are. Odd that a mask was invited to our tea party, don't you think? Ah, wait. It wasn't here earlier, was it? Ooh, I believe there's a fish here but a moment ago. It was providing some excellent mood lighting, but with how bright the glow became. Oh? Wait, did the fish become a mask all of a sudden then? Where am I? I was a fish? You try to communicate, but you realize you're not quite sure how to do so. Oh dear. You can't inform Morris to join in on the discussion. Such a mute party-goer is no fun at all. Well, we simply must find a way to assist it in finding its voice. However, will we know what wisdom this Nask has to impart onto us? Ah, I know just the thing. Tea heals all wounds, you know. Oh yes, that will do splendidly. Do you really think you can turn a mask with a cup of tea? Didn't I just say tea heals all wounds? You did, didn't you? Yes, all right. Quickly then, some tea to help this poor mask. The shade manifests an arm, a glazed teapot in its newly formed hand. They lift it. With a practiced lilt of the wrist, level its spout over the matching teacup sitting in front of you. Out the teapot trickles a thin liquid, light blue and mildly luminous. Crystals so small and translucent that only you can register them by the way they bend and break the light shimmering through the stream, riding the way down. You watch the little shards spill into the cup. You could count them if you tried. Oh my goodness. For a fleeting moment, you try anyways. Oh, and that's when you see your face, a mask reflected in the rippling blue. 3 dark circles constrained by plaster white. Is this why they called you a mask? The only thing you can see is the mask. Your eyes, your mouth, your shoulders all just match the murky blackness of the sky. But that pristine mask is... No, that's wrong. It's the opposite, in fact. There is no mask. Where there should be a mask, there is simply nothing. The luminous blue of the tea and the 3 black dots floating. You roll your head to the side, but you can't see the mask at the edge of your vision either. The curvature of your head appears in the teacup, past where the edge of the mask should be. Your neck and shoulders descend from nothingness. Yeah, I'm sorry. Reading out loud gets me yawning. As if they had no relation with the eyes that see them. But there's no mask. A non-existent surface that seems to hide anything behind it, but does not itself show. You can touch it. You can feel it. Your fingers press against the formless barrier. Feel for its rounded edges and gentle curvature, but you still can't see it. You concentrate on it, with your foolish eyes to observe it, stare at it. But there's simply nothing to see. All the effort does is reward you with another fact. You can't see your hands either. Pulling the hand, grabbing at your face away, you can trace the slope of your watery arm as it fades out into nothingness before reaching the wrist. You can stretch it, flex the fingers, pull at your non-mask mask's mask with it. It doesn't move. But you can't see it. You're interrupted before you can further contemplate the state of your being. Oh dear, I don't think this poor thing even knows how to use tea. Well, that most certainly cannot be. Taking tea is the most important point of etiquette. How could anyone not know? Surely it is self-apparent and fundamental. One can never underestimate the cluelessness of a newly adorned mask, dear. Ah, that is true. True indeed. Dear, would you mind giving them a lesson? But of course, it is a kingdom's lady's duty to do so. Alright, dear. See here, it's quite easy now. All you need to do is... You don't need help to drink it. Drink it. I'll be nice and let them teach me. You are utterly bewildered as they describe at length the process of doing tea. After they explain the process in excruciating detail, though, you're encouraged to give it a shot. You aren't actually sure now that you even have the requisite part with which to commit the action. Drink. Lost on what to do next, you can only sit there with the cup beneath your not chin, not face, and wait. Ah, dear. I'm not so certain. Is sitting there with the cup unmoving a new form of etiquette? Ooh, yes, it must be. How polite of this new master to be so patient, so refined, so wise. Ah, well, while it is nice to discover new things, I fear they simply do not know how to drink it, dear. Perhaps they cannot at all. Oh my. Yes, how unfortunate. It is such a shame. I thought truly that maybe this mask could be... Oh? Do you see that commotion over there? Strange beings all turn to observe a bustling congregation of some dozen individuals who bear a similar countenance to your own. Peering at this curious gathering, you notice that they are trailing one after one of their number who appears to be in no small amount of distress. Goodness me, what an ensemble this is. I have seldom seen so many masks in one place. Oh, how novel and delightful. Is there a show of some kind going on? Did we call for entertainment to come to our tea party? How silly a notion. Tea requires no additional fanfare. No, I believe that singular mask right there to be the cause of this spirited to-do. As you observe the affair before you, growing interest commands your attention away from your present company. Could it be curiosity that draws you in, you wonder, or something else? Ah, no, sorry. I don't need you all to follow me. I'm just trying to find someone with... you! Please, you seem like a kindred soul, new in town like me, right? Can you please tell me where this is? I'm sorry, buddy, I don't know. You aren't sure what to say in response to this mask, if you can even say anything at all. Alright, sorry about that. I'm sure you're probably just as confused as I am. It's just, I really want to gather my bearings here. You see, there's something very wrong going on. Nothing is making sense to me. Are we underwater? Is there some sort of bubble surrounding us, or some strangeness afoot or enabling us to breathe down here? It's a tea party. Though you want to give this mask a response, perhaps gain some understanding of each other, still cannot seem to form the words to give it the peace of mind it's searching for. Can only stare listless from behind your not mask. Underwater? He's got some funny notions. Shh, I want to hear what else he has to say. It'll be interesting if he makes more of a fuss. Oh, you're speaking like one of the disciples of... Oh, is that what you hope happens? That he gets noticed by... No, I don't hope for anything. Now I'm more worried than interested, since you mentioned. Water? Water? Under it? What's water? Please stop, all of you. If you don't know what water is, then there's no point in explaining. God, that's like talking to a fish. Fish? Talking to fish. Yes, there's no point in that. They don't even have any, what's the word? Form? No form with which to hear you? What does that even mean? Fish have forms. They have scales and eyes and look like little... Oh, for pity's sake, maybe a mote of dust is a better comparison than a fish. Haha, So interesting. I'm hearing words that I haven't heard before. Or have I? You see what I mean? No one here understands anything I have to say. No one has any answers for me, but it really is like we're on the seafloor, right? Do you agree? I would say yes, if I could speak. Oh, Nan, this is trippy. Again, still, the state of your being appears non-conductive to conversation. Non-conducive, sorry. Oh, you could at least shake your head. Something's better than... bother, I give up. What about those non-masked fellows you were talking to over there? They look clean and civilized. Maybe they can... Uh, where do they go? Where are we, actually? Glancing around, you realize that not only has this wandering flock left the tea party nowhere in sight, but its size is seemingly more than quintupled. Murmuring voices swirl as the other masks surround the two of you, and your distressed interlocutor sends a cloud of silt flying in annoyance. Damn it all, it keeps happening. There's no way we should have moved so far in such a short... Hang on, what's the word? The word, the one that means... I can't remember. Why can't I remember? All of you, why are you staring like that? Why do you all look the same? Why are we the same? Turning in distress to face each member of the crowd, the distraught mass then turns his gaze upward as his fragile bearings slip away. Suddenly, though, in the midst of his panic, a calm takes hold, and as he stands there gazing at the abyss above, the holes adorning the surface that passes for his face start to lose their definition. You look on in curious amusement. Something bubbles out from within, and the mask adorning his form gives way to a nearly featureless face. Metamorphosis has begun. With rapt attention, you watch as the body before you takes on an abstract thinness, surrendering its similarity to those who surround it. He's at peace, you think to yourself. Your fleeting encounter with this curious individual comes to a quiet end, his unfamiliar form having drifted away into the unknown. Oh, I think he became an estuary. How fortunate. It must be such a relief letting go of oneself like that. So sad for us that the excitement's over, though. Wonder what we should do. Oh, look. I think one of knowledge's has come to see us. As voices murmur in surprise, you realize that a thick and looming miasma has been crawling its way through the sea of masks. The perimeter of the crowd begins to part, and a strikingly corporeal figure begins to make its way toward the center. Straining to make out the sight amidst all the scurrying, you notice that the gaseous miasma appears to be emanating from a long, thin device carried in the hand of his new arrival. As they come forward, the haze thickens with each slow and deliberate step. The results of their approach rapidly accumulate into caution and urgency amongst the crowd. The congregation begins to depopulate. Masks flee every which way with pronounced trepidation, which actually, upon consideration, doesn't make sense to you at all. You stand and stare. How odd. You don't find the same desire to flee overtaking you. If anything, you begin to feel somewhat serene, as though the miasma is having a calming effect on you. The crowd having almost fully dispersed, you ignore the few urgent whispers that may be directing you to run away quickly. You don't want to be... it's too late anyhow. A pair of eyes locks onto you. Eyes? Well, that's more than a pair of eyes. Yes, you can see them now. So many motes of light, glowing a luminous yellow to pierce through the thickening fog. A pair of glistening, many-hued eyes stands out from these. And beneath those eyes you see a vibrant and disarming grin. A quiet, white light in the centers of those dazzling pupils sparkles with a sense of utter delight. Then you hear a voice. Yeah!
Found you.
The enigmatic stranger's figure fully revealed, they close the distance between you and sweep their hand languidly around to, with the gentlest caress, cradle the back of your neck. In another graceful motion, the instrument in their other hand draws a swirling path through the fog, the gas curling and wafting beneath your mask. And your grip on consciousness begins to slowly loosen. This is fine. Gaze up at their manic, toothy expression, and stumble backward as their hand lets go of your neck. And are caught by tendrils snaking out from beneath their garb, keeping you firmly rooted in place. This is fine. That's it. Take it in deeply, please. Come along now, for we have so very much to do. The stranger brings your head tenderly to their breast. It is your last vestiges of awareness. Slip away. Oh. Is this bad? Damn well might be bad. Oh.
Subject?
Pick up the book. For gaming.
It's simple.
Very good. Now place the book on one of the nearby pillars. Probably not this one. I think I'm kind of stuck here. Subject appears to have issues with corporeality. Note, apply mild adhesive to future testing equipment. Why can't I move? I think I'm actually stuck here. Arrgh. Is there like a control guide or something here? Oh, man, I don't want to be stuck here. Hold on. Let me check on the itch.io page. What's the wobbly thing? I think that is someone? Let's see here. Move, look around, interact. Right shoulder, right trigger. Okay, they be wobbling. Oh man, I might have to restart if I'm stuck. Oh. Let me see here. Okay, let's close the game and reopen it. Hope I can, like, continue. Okay, cool.
Subject?
Yeah, let's see what this, oh, it's like a fireplace? Or campfire, sorry. I think I did that last stream too. I confused a fireplace with a campfire. Thought it had little feet. Oh, yeah, it does look like little feet.
Subject.
Move the rectangular object from the nearby pillar. I don't know what it is, but I don't exactly know the button to pick it up. Okay, let's go back and look at the controls. Interact, E or Z. Okay. There we go.
It's
Okay.
simple.
Place the book on one of the nearby pillars. Cool. There we go. Subject has chosen the green pillar. Results unsatisfactory. Well, that's not nice. I struggled so hard to put this book here. On appearing to satisfy the curiosity of the stranger who brought you here, you're startled by the sudden appearance of a familiar structure in the middle of the room. It has hinges, you think to yourself, and a handle. Perhaps one could open it and step through to the other side. You ponder this wayward thought, though, before you can decide whether to act upon it. The structure creaks open all on its own. Glance around, and having explored your present surroundings as much as you cared to, step cautiously across this new threshold. An ominous feeling washing over you as you pass through.
Little mask.
There's a good little test subject. Thank you ever so much for humoring me in this little exercise. It lets me know that now we can move forward with more progression towards your... Oh, do forgive me. I'm sure you're quite confused as to what's going on here. The space before you strikes you as odd, even considering what you've seen until now. Motes of sparkling gold float lazily about. Myriad imposing contraptions stand haphazardly, thrown amidst patches of glowing coral and golden algae. And though you struggle to produce their names, you intuit that you've somehow seen a number of them before. Surrounding the contents of the room are a number of disorientingly complex walls. Layers of perfectly horizontal surfaces support countless ornate rectangular objects, alongside numerous transparent containers filled with mysterious glowing liquids. Bookshelves, do you remember these structures are called? Most imposing, however, is the figure before you. The one who stole you away from the pack of gossiping masks stands tall, gleaming eyes fixed hungrily upon you, mouth twisted into an expression of pure delight. An itching feeling in the back of your mind informs you that you should be nervous, and yet the subtly sweet scent of smoke puts you unnervingly at ease. Where I've brought you is the Underglow College, an institution of sorts run by the disciples of knowledge, of whom I am one. Here, we, disciples of that God, seek to expand upon learning everything so that it might become known. Sounds like quite the broad study program, though. Well, it's not actually so simple nor complex. There are many of us who have dedicated ourselves to studying a grand variety of particular things to know. All right. You may not be familiar with this place, not the college, but the entire space in which you've manifested. The one that lets you and I exist as beings who can communicate, and also those beings who cannot. As far as we've been able to determine, the Underglow is something of an ephemeral realm. Where spirits roam detached from form, who may form forms or change from form to form in order to inform other forms, or not form at all, or even relinquish form to be free from form. Boy, is that a tongue twister. Though some might be careful lest they become deformed.
It's simple.
You're able to follow, yes? Though you cannot express to them whether or not you really do understand everything they've said so far. Nonetheless, they seem to take your silence as affirmation. Excellent. That's exactly what I've been looking for. You see, I've been waiting for someone like you to come along. You remember the moment you gained awareness, yes?
Of course.
Of course you do. A mask as well adorned as yourself must be capable of retaining such memory with ease. You've proven as much by participating in my experiment. Not just any mask has the ability to follow directions like you do. Yes, I am all but certain you are exactly the mask I've been looking for. And I have waited so very patiently. Oh, Siri bot. Okay, sorry. It delights me to think that, with enough testing, we can discover together the potential you have fully
Oh,
realized. Ah, well, I won't spoil anything for you. Best that all of the results come organically, without coloring your perceptions too much. Alright, you've earned the right to put a name to my face, since you've proven to be so precocious. Those around here have taken to calling me Prim, so I think that works as good as anything. If you ever feel so inclined to form the words with which to speak, call me that, please. Okay. Tilt your head forward, hoping to indicate that you took in what they said and have considered it. Your attentiveness seemingly delights Prim, and they clasp their hands together.
splendid.
As of now, I think I would like to see you actually become able to use words, so I think it would be prudent for me to allow you to roam the college grounds for a bit, and learn a thing or three about how to communicate. Oh, but I wouldn't want you to wander too far off or get caught up in some unfortunate business with some other disciples of knowledge affairs. Hold still for a moment, please. One of Prim's writhing tendrils retrieves a curious angular device and places it into their eager hand. They advance toward you, and with a deft motion, they reach behind you, place the device against your back, and pierce your form with something sharp. You jump at the sudden pain, though it begins to quickly subside. Prim lifts the device from your back, and as you feel around for the injection site, you realize you've been affixed with a small dangling object. Oh! There, that should let anyone else around here know that you're my subject of study. Don't seem so upset. It's a very good thing you're able to feel that. If you hate being my test subject so badly, just think of the ability to feel pain as being one step closer to graduating. That makes you sound more like one of my students, doesn't it? No, if I thought of you as one of my students, we would already be through with most of all this. Be a diver then. And right now, you really don't make the cut. Anyways, now that you've been properly labeled, I'm assigning you the task of finding anything on campus that interests you, observing it until you glean something useful from it, such as how to speak. There are a number of those around here you might imitate in that regard, such as the socialites who enjoy playing school here. Socialites make for decent observation subjects, though their behaviors are a bit uncanny. I've seen those outside of here who prefer to pass as nobles as of the kingdom and play tea party. It's quite adorable if you can get past their stranger proclivities. Just try not to get any delusions in your head that lead down the same path you pretend is theirs. And be wary of other disciples or divers who ask too many questions. So have yourself a look around and don't get pulled in by anyone shady. Rem shoos you away, and so you turn to step out the door. As you peer out from the entrance, you think to glance back at Prim one last time. However, you find that all that was their domain is simply gone. Ah, oh well. You resume your exit and, glancing around at the surrounding structures, the words door and hallway float to the surface of your mind. You're not entirely sure that the endless rows of bookshelves stretching up before you could truly qualify as a hallway. Nevertheless, you pick a direction with no further consideration and proceed through the veritable canyon of tomes, the path graciously lit by the glowing coral formations peppering the surfaces of each structure. A pair of voices cuts through your solitary silence, the sound of two pairs of footsteps accompanying them. You see a pair of individuals with forms not unlike those of the nobles at the tea party you encountered before. You conclude from the similarities and what Prim mentioned earlier that these are likely sociolites. You decide to listen to their passing conversation, see what you might glean from it. Gosh, I wish they'd let me sleep in. I had to get up so early and run out the door, and I didn't even get to eat breakfast. That's so unfortunate. I was able to sleep in all morning, and I feel great. I'm so jealous. At least we got to walk to school together, since we're neighbors. Ha, indeed, my friend. Say, when is our next class? The pair go in the direction opposite to you, seeming too caught up in themselves to pay you any notice. As you continue in the direction they came from, you see another socialite round a corner, carrying a large stack of books. Step aside to avoid them as they walk toward you. But somehow they manage to bump into you anyways, dropping all the books in a manner most disproportionate to how hard you made contact, as though it were done on purpose even. Oh, for the love of... Oh, goodness me. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were a mask. Oh well, never mind it. I'll get to all these myself. I doubt you're capable of even touching them. I'll help. Without any hesitation, you crouch down and grab one of the books with a freshly solidified hand, offering it out to the socialite good-naturedly. He seemed to stare at you in shock for a moment, before taking the book and straightening up. Action you feel you must mirror. Why, thank you so very much. Well, how very nice of you. Now I suppose I should feel obligated to help you out a bit, since you humored someone like me. You seem fairly precocious for a mask, but we do not see many of your kind around here. I would have heard about you already, were you not new to this place, so I'd like to try my hand at giving a newcomer like you some guidance. Oh, I'm so excited now to finally have someone indulge me in my, yes. Come, let me show you in the place that I know best, since we're both here. The sociolite drops the remaining books upon the ground, seemingly forgetting about all of them. You watch with some intrigue as the books slowly descend into the floor before disappearing like a vapor, as though their purpose had been served. Ooh. You follow this person into the doorway, which they originally walked out of, and come out into a space that appears both open and cramped. The bookshelves with which have been lining all the areas you have been in since Rem's tests exist here in far greater numbers than you're used to. You notice them stacked upon one another in no small number, amounting to veritable towers of shelves uncountable that progress past the point where you can see as they fade into blackness above. Closer to the horizon of your vision, you see tables with chairs scattered around the room, wherever there happens to be no bookcase to take up the space. These tables are occupied by other socialites, who are all having their own whispered conversations over the books open in front of them. You feel as though there's a word just in the back of your mind that you could call a place like this, but you're unable to grasp it as solidly as you were. Books you've just become familiar with holding. You look to the bookish socialite expectantly, hoping to hear an explanation. This, my dear Mask, is the college library. Here you'll find a number of books on topics of no few subjects, and some that may even have images in them. You may go this way or that to find fiction and nonfiction alike. There are some tables around here also where you may pore over these books or study for your next class. Oh, speaking of which, I'm afraid I must be off to my own next class. Let me ask the librarian over at the front desk if you have any questions on specific books you'd like to read, or if you'd like to check out a book for other uses. I hope you enjoy all that the library has to offer. Now, if you'll excuse me... sociolite appears to deem their very short, not too detailed explanation of the library to be sufficient, and then quickly exits out the doorway right behind you. The peculiarly short tour leaves you reeling a bit, but at least now you know what sort of place this is, and have grown to understand a bit more of what other sociolites are like. Despite the most prominent uses of the library that were explained to you just now, none of the sociolites gathered here appear to be reading or studying. Instead, they are simply conversing in hushed tones, socializing, as it were. It's all this moment that you remember what Prim said, that the sociolites around here like to play school. I'm not sure entirely, but the impression you're getting is that sociolites aren't exactly, literally students of the college here. You have trouble imagining how exactly you're supposed to learn to communicate from these people when they don't seem to actually have true purposes in mind for the things that they say. You wonder vacantly about how you may actually go about learning to speak, when it occurs to you that perhaps a book on the subject of speech would be of use. Uh-uh. You decide to wander the library for some bit, looking around the various shelves before your gaze settles on one shelf that appears to have a particularly large coral formation sprouting out of it. This coral is so large and shelf-like in and of itself that it appears to have been repurposed into yet more shelving for more books. The notion of these books seemingly have no other place but on things that are ostensibly not built for books is enough to pique your interest. You close the distance between yourself and the coral formation, make your selection of the books perched upon it. Which book do you take? Oh, I like glowing pages. I think that would be beneficial. You pick up the book and open its pages, but are unable to interpret anything meaningful from the text, while you're able to identify some of the characters within. Most of them just seem to be squashed together into gibberish, with some actual words speckled in between. There are even some characters that look to be from a foreign language, but they're not being used in any way that has any meaning either. Putting this book down, you grab another one next to it and open up similar results, and then the last one to even less helpful results. You conclude from the contents of the books that the covers of them largely are just for show. If you had a face that could frown, you would be doing that right now. You just drop the book on the floor. Shaking your knot head with frustration, you release your grip on the book and watch as it descends into the floor and vanishes in like fashion to the books you saw being dropped earlier. Ah, Sag. Something about this leaves you perturbed, but you cannot deny the satisfaction that being rid of the useless thing brings. Oh, it's so hard to learn how to read and to speak. Continuing your exploration of the library, your results are replicated with most of the books that manage to catch your eye. There's a strange inconsistency, however, that you notice when you manage to find a book that was sitting out in the open on a table that actually has real sentence structure within it. You take the seat in front of which the book was sitting open, reading over the text eagerly. The radiant chandeliers bake the royal chamber in an uncomfortable warmth. As Lady Diangsworth knelt before the throne, intensifying the perspiration across her brow. These meetings were always nerve-wracking. The Queen was an intimidating figure, but in this instance, she was the least of her concerns. A loud bang echoed through the halls as the door to the room was flung open. Diangsworth felt her heart leap into her throat as the royal party marched past her towards the throne. She quickly choked it back down to avoid suffocation. She was familiar enough with this process to identify each knight by their footsteps, as they planted their feet into the ground by Her Majesty. Sir Charlegomonth, Dame Gregorithithy, Sir Nightilio, and finally, Dame Victoriciana. The lady's eyes swelled to balloons as she remembered what had happened between her and the great knight beneath the prior eve. Their lips locked together as their tongues became entwined. Their hands folded into one another's over and over, like a neatly stored towel. The Tendrils framing her face quivered at the memory. How was she supposed to face the court like this? Oh my goodness. What a spicy book. Close the book in front of you, having seen enough. Oh, you do not think this is the type of text you would actually like to be reading right now. No, come on, no. I want to read it. The idea occurs to you that it was being read by someone who is going to be back, so you get up feeling somewhat flustered and angle your way towards anywhere, but right in that spot. Well, at the very least, you learn that some of the books here do have contents that are comprehensible. Becoming tired of gambling over whether or not the next book is going to be inappropriate for your purposes, you remember your socialite friend from earlier having spoken of there being someone you could go to for assistance. You look over to the front desk that was mentioned by your bookish fellow, for you do indeed see another socialite, who you assume is the librarian. They also appear to be the only one you have seen so far actually reading a book. You go up to the desk, seeking to catch their attention somehow, but because you still lack the capability of speech, you're only able to stand there, raise one hand quietly, and hope that they see you. It doesn't take much, thankfully, for them to look up from their book and take notice. Can I help you? You point at the book with which they are reading, and then point at the whole of the vicinity behind you, hoping that this gets the point across well enough. Luckily, they don't actually seem to take long to get the gist, probably helped by the fact that this is a library. Ugh, I'm guessing you need help finding a book. Okay, hang on. Well... Here, this one just got dropped off. You seem like the kind of mask who would benefit from a text of this caliber. You're not altogether pleased that you were unable to acquire the exact help you need, but your impatience just gets the better of you. You bear some hope for the chance that the librarian of all people has a real book that can be read, and that the wisdom implied by their position will net you something of worth. You take the sizable book from their hands, make your way over to a table, and set it down. Wrenching open the hefty tome, you set your gaze upon the secrets contained within. The secrets contained... Oh, for crying out loud, it's just more incomprehensible nonsense. Ow! The librarian shoots you an irritated look. Shh, quiet in the library. I am being quiet. Me too. You realize with a start that in your frustration, you seem to have spontaneously attained the coveted power of vocal communication. That was annoyingly simple. You decidedly get up with the tome and return it to the desk with the librarian. They seem to roll their eyes at this, unhappy to see you return. Look, if that one wasn't your cup of tea, feel free to return it to a shelf. Anyone will do. Chuck it as hard as you like for all I care. Everything here is made of stone anyway. Though you wonder what tea could possibly have to do with books, you nevertheless oblige to the cantankerous librarian, and go to place the book haphazardly down on a shelf chosen at random. The arcane volume lands with the now familiar clack that, though you hadn't thought to interrogate its strangeness before, suddenly makes perfect sense in light of the materials supposedly used for its construction. Hmm. Having little other use for the library now that you've managed to attain the goal Premed set for your exploration of the campus, you exit out through the doorway with the objective of making your way back from whence you came, but are surprised to find Prim themselves standing before you, waiting, sporting a disconcertingly pretentious grin.
Oh,
Well now, from the sound of it, you managed to learn quite a bit on this little excursion.
Moira.
I hope you're ready for the next test, my little Moira. Moira! You're given no opportunity to protest when Prem encircles you with tendrils once again. turning around as the slithering tangle whisks you off like a rip current down the hallway and through the rematerialized entrance to their lab.
Little mask.
Balloon animals! It's a gun. Next, operate the mechanism until results are obtained. Okay. What? Is this a gun? Lyra shows aggressive behavior. Note administer reward. What's a bubble shooter? Data collection in progress. Results presently unclear. More data needed. I don't know what to do with this thing. It's weird. Hypothesis: Moira is making an admirable attempt to educate the spirit fish. I don't see any spirit fish. Pretty big place, too. Is this an invisible wall? Oh, motherfucking. The data is accumulating. Well, if I'm stuck here, I hope we can get enough data for you to get me out of here. Oh, the fishy. Ah, we're shooting fishies. Enough data collected. Come, let's degraph that thing from you. No longer bound to the experimental device you just used. Fishy! Feel an uncomfortable ache in your shoulders. Good heavens, getting it removed was a harrowing process. You decide to put it out of your mind and see what Prim has to say about the disorienting exercise they just put you through. Turning to them, you watch as they dutifully place the fish shooting device on a mountain behind them. You notice now amidst the spot where the device sits, a collection of transparent containers, flasks you realize, the contents of which had previously piqued your interest. Only in this moment do you realize that the lights floating within all resemble the spirit fish with which you've just become acquainted.
Moira.
Fantastic work in there. I'm so glad my efforts were not wasted. I can tell you that those spirit fish are slippery little devils. Wrangling enough to actually load the launcher is no trivial feat, but it was all worth it to see you enthusiastically take to my little trial for you. Relatedly, I have prepared a small reward for your continued diligence toward the pursuit of knowledge.
Moira.
Yes, yes, my dear Moira, behold. From behind Prim's back, a swell of tendrils rises with an outrageously hefty stack of books tangled within. They drop the easily dozens high stacks of tomes, which lands perfectly in front of you with a loud thump, towering over you dauntingly. Prim peeks out from behind the tower at you with an expression somehow more chuffed than it ever. Consider this not just a reward for your performance, but a gift for really learning how to speak. You certainly encountered your fair share of fake books from the library, but I guarantee you that these all have perfectly coherent and linear paragraphs of info for you to peruse. No need to thank me. This is all for improving my datasets going forward as well, you know. Go on now, study to your heart's content. Oh, I guess we're reading. Grab a book from the middle of the tower, pulling it out effortlessly. Books above it descend neatly onto the ones below, as if you're the one now holding. Well, as if the one you're now holding was never there. Begin reading. Not only does this book contain actual readable information, but it all seems to pertain to Prim's studies. Certain equations fill your vision, spinning around in your head as the mountain of information serves only to confuse you even more than the imitation book's gibberish would have.
It's simple.
Don't be afraid to ask any questions if you find yourself confused. Easier said than done, you think. The information is so overwhelming that you wouldn't even know where to start. Finally, in the hurricane of words, you recognize one you've heard before, estuary. What is an estuary? The expression on Prim's face doesn't shift, but all the same, there's something subtly different about it. It unsettles you, especially as you notice their voice begin to take on a tone with the darkness rivaling that of the abyss above.
Moira.
Are you aware of the process by which we change Moira? How, though, are we? We are all droplets. We come to take on many forms. Well, let me give you a brief lesson. Feel free to bask in the honor that is having a disciple of knowledge share their personal findings with you face to face. So when we enter the toe, we all take on the form of a mask, just like you, Moira. Masks begin with an ambiguous sense of self. They merely move and speak on instinct, perhaps carried over from... well, that's getting into theories involving preventatively large quantities of prerequisite knowledge. As a newly adorned mask entering droplet society, we may develop our senses of self to be more complex. This is how we grow to be more. A mask who seeks to understand may begin to imitate others and grow that sense of self. We become socialites when we understand the meaning of self and seek to perfect our imitation of reality. Then, after a fashion, we become divers. This is when we gain purpose. We become disciples, like myself, when we fully devote ourselves to that purpose. And if we come to embody our purpose as a singular, all-encompassing ideal, we become gods. Yes. Alas, there are also those unfortunate droplets who shy away from the call of purpose. As they lose themselves, they become estuaries. A truly pitiful form of existence brought forth by a blurring line, the line between self and all else. Oh wow. There are benefits to attaining this form, for instance, gaining a greater understanding of the workings of the Underglow, but they cannot share that knowledge with the rest of us, or partake in the company of others with the full awareness necessary to enjoy such things. Ever the pity. So it's kind of similar to like, I don't know, like having a body to like interact with the physical world, but like becoming an estuary is kind of like dying. Like you still have the knowledge that you have, but you know, you can't share it because you literally don't have a body. That said, estuaries do at the very least still cling to the vestiges of individuality needed to maintain one's form. Gotta head in for tonight. Gotta work in the morning. Thanks so much for streaming. We'll catch the rest of this in the morning. Oh yeah, for sure. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a good night, Kev. Have a good rest. An estuary who loses themselves entirely will thus surrender that tenuous form and become a spirit fish. The very same type of entity you encountered during our latest experiment. Oh, a fish. Spirit fish is a being of pure instinct, driven to only cluster together with others of its ilk. It is speculated that spirit fish may be possessed of more raw power than any other type of being in the Underglow, for reasons I'm not about to get into at this juncture. But such beings truly are the saddest existences I can imagine. Nothing about them is all that exciting or interesting, much as I may poke and prod.
And now.
Do not feel afraid for them, though. Even a spirit fish is not a lost cause. As it turns out, it may in fact be possible to revert them back to their previous forms. Ooh. Damn. I can't find this game on YouTube to see how long it is. Oh, let me see here. Did I ever post the link in the chat? Oh yeah, okay. Underglow knowledge, pitch drop. Oh, I still can't find it. Alright, that's fine. Well, I guess I'll be the first to discover how long it is. Alright. As it turns out, it may in fact be possible to revert them back to their previous forms. Or if a fish has even the smallest gleam of transient brightness to their being, it means that they still have self, that they can be remade back into themselves and return to the path of growth. However, if that last sliver of self leaves a spirit fish, they become the coral you see all around us. Ow! No longer a being driven by will. They are but a fixture. Unmovable. Uninspired, unmotivated, unaware. There is no coming back from that. Grim pauses, their voice having become quite despondent. This topic appears to be difficult for them to discuss, you think. Nevertheless, this information is important. You need Prim to continue. You need to know. There are certain conditions, rare as they may be, where some stages of droplethood are skipped entirely. For example, a diver, a particularly foolish diver, may practice learning to temporarily relinquish their sense of self. If they can control it, if they can know they'll regain it later, they can wield the power that comes with being an estuary. Power attained through becoming one with the underglow. But if they can't, they'll be stuck that way. But, my God has proffered to me a boon of enlightenment. It stands to reason that if a diver can become an estuary, perhaps a spirit fish can turn straight back into a mask. That is what my research seeks to help us understand. Rescuing spirit fish, pulling them back from the brink. And somehow, you, my dear, have exhibited signs of having already been a droplet before becoming a mask, falling completely outside of the norm of what the cycle dictates. Oh yeah, we were a fish at the beginning. Oh wow. It's all coming together.
Moira.
You see, Moira, this is why our reunion was serendipitous. That name again. Who is Moira? The last of Prim's professional facade drains from her face. You're not sure why, but something tells you you've just asked the wrong question. Oh no.
Get out.
No! Prim snatches a book from the stack with a whip of a tendril, causing the whole thing to tumble over. They throw it as hard as they can. You hear it zip by as it flies just over you.
Leave. Now.
No! Don't make me leave. A veritable cloud of dark tendrils rises from behind them, looming threateningly as a billow of golden dust leaches into the surrounds. I'm sorry.
I said go!
Oh! Man, unable to reconcile the sudden change in temperament of theirs, you turn away in a panic and flee out into the corridor. There's a crash behind you, the sound of various flasks breaking and stones shattering. Cover your head and crouch down to avoid the inevitable rain of debris you're sure is to come, but the noise goes quiet. When you look back, the entrance to the lab is gone again. You wander the campus with an unsettled feeling, finding all of what Prem just told you somehow saddening in a way you don't understand. You find yourself in the courtyard and settle on the edge of a fountain, looking around at the bright formations of coral, watching the light of the spirit fish and socialites pass you by. Your gaze drifts down to the brine of the fountain, your reflection, same as before, staring emptily back at you. Amidst your contemplation, you notice a reflection beside yours, and look over to see the most evidently corporeal individual you have come across since awakening thus far. It don't appear as though they're blending in with the environment, their visage a stark contrast against the glowing void below and above. No mask-like appearance of which to speak, no detached limbs to float meanderingly about their form, like they're the most comprehensible being you feel you ever seen here before. Curious, and though they look much more real than you're used to seeing, that isn't what causes you to conclude that they're more self-aware than all the others. There's nothing that appears to be an attempt at playing pretend like you're accustomed to in the countenance of socialites. Instead, they have a certain je ne sais quoi that feels completely organic and natural. A word enters your mind, lifelike. It's as though you've met the first real person in this place with their own unique sense of self besides Brim. Though, you suppose Brim might be a notch more past normal than you can handle. No, what makes you certain that this person is a person rather than a socialite playing pretend is that the expression on their face belies a sadness you can almost drown in. Before you can say anything, they appear to notice you with a small start, their expression quickly changing to something inquisitive. Hmm. Oh, a mask holding a book. What an unusual sight. Are you here for a purpose? Their voice is soft. You look down to realize that you are, in fact, still clutching the book Prim gave you. You look back up at this new droplet. You wonder what category they actually fit in. They certainly seem too well formed to be a socialite, but they also don't strike you as a disciple. Ah, that's right. You just learned about this. Are you a diver? Oh, well, isn't that all the more unexpected? Not many masks really have the awareness to take notice of us. Have you been actually studying here? Yeah. Huh, you truly are a curious one. An earnest learner instead of a pretender. Hey, what do you think of the disciples here? Only met one. They're a little odd, I suppose. Diver laughs at this response. It's a sound that rings like a quiet bell, reminiscent of the ripples in the fountain's surface. That's putting it mildly. I've studied under a disciple or three for a while I've been here. They're all outrageously eccentric. I'm not even sure what they're talking about for half of it. Some of them come out around here and study the droplets studying, or chase the spirit fish around like children catching minnows, or blow up the cafe just to see how the socialites react. At the very least, there's never a dull moment. Hmm? Ah, that tag on your back tells me this isn't news to you at all. A gift from a generous disciple, no doubt. Huh. What sorts of shenanigans have they been getting you into? Well, I can tell you all about this tag. It hurt. You tell the diver about the experiments you've been subject to, making mention of your efforts in learning to speak, as well as the curious fish-shooting device with which you're briefly conjoined. Your tale brings the diver to such a jovial bout of laughter that you yourself can't help but join in. It's a loud, loose laugh. Games and our demos, woo! Hi, CZ. We're playing Underglow. It's a little visual novel made for visual novel spooky fest on itch.io. There's a link in case you're curious. Your tale brings the diver such a jovial bout of laughter that you yourself can't help but join in. It's a loud, loose laugh that you weren't sure you were capable of till now. Funny, it really is such a pleasant sensation, the laughter brought about by sharing your experiences with another. Realizing this makes you notice, this is the best you've felt since arriving here. It continues to ring true, the idea that your fears can be alleviated simply by recalling your woes aloud. It rings as clearly as the laughter shared by two spirits who were once burdened by distilled discontent. All the consternation and unease given to you by said shenanigans almost seems to melt away the more you converse with them. Ah, well, as entertaining as the goings-on here tend to be, I honestly hate this place. Disciples as a concept depressed me. They're cautionary tales about letting your passions consume you. They have a lot to share, especially knowledge's sort, but every lesson they impart leaves a rotten taste in the mouth. You know, they say once you become a disciple, your passions get warped. Your views get contaminated by the god of your discipline. It's perilous ground to tread around here. If you're not careful, you can find yourself walking a similar path. Then why are you here? There was a friend of mine, another diver. They're not a diver anymore. They're not even an estuary. At some point, they completely lost themselves, and their form could no longer hold together. Without even crossing the normal lines between our regular understanding of how droplets change form, they lost theirs and joined the schools of spiritfish. No longer do they walk beside me. No longer do they know themselves from another. I can't imagine what was going through their head to cause it. I just thought that they were so much stronger than that. We were supposed to... I guess I wanted to borrow the knowledge here. I want to know if it's possible to get them back. But maybe it's all for naught. Huh. What do you think, Little Mask? Might it be possible, or do you think I'm wasting my efforts? Well, I think it's possible. The diver's words put you into contemplative silence. You feel that you don't want to give them false hope, but you remember how you awoke here in the Underglow. Your mind snapping to awareness around the socialites at the tea party. And the way they described you appearing at their table. I think it is possible. The diver looks startled by your answer. Aha, really? I see. After a poignant silence, they stand up. You see their back straighten and they begin to stare out at the motes of light swimming along the currents in the distance. You watch as a grin slowly etches itself onto their face. Their eyes well up with a giddiness, and their fists clenches at their front with newfound resolve. They seem to have forgotten you completely as they cast their gaze forward towards the innermost grounds of the college. Oh, there's text history right here? Oh, that's so tiny. They begin to take their steps toward the sanctum, dust kicking up in their wake. You aren't sure entirely, but you swear you hear them whisper something that shakes you to your core. I'll save you yet, my... A potent chill washes across your form. Could that have been... Your thoughts are interrupted as something abruptly takes hold of your arm, a grip like glacial steel. Who are you? You turn around to find an unfamiliar disciple. As you tilt your head up to meet their gaze, your eyes lock. There's a terrifying vacantness in them, more so even than Frem's. An icy dread overtakes you. Oh, what do we have here? What an odd mask. That lack of vacancy in your eyes tells me that you seem to be having a moment of awareness that's not exhibited by most like you. What a lovely little anomaly you are. Let go of me. My, such awareness indeed. How adorable. What, you fancy yourself a diver? A mask who isn't interested in becoming a socialite first at all? So I'm also scrolling Twitter and shading in manga. Work differently than I expected. Oh yeah, because they use like special brushes that kind of give them hatch lines. Is that what you're talking about, or maybe something else? I do like seeing the way that manga is like Shaded. They have so many different ways of doing it. Uh... Oh, fuck. Oh, not the box cutter. Damn, that's a lot of work. Oh, that's wild. Okay. I expected the DOS to be a printer thing. Yeah. Oh man. I... Uh, they must have been so glad to have digital. I'll say that much. Oh my goodness. It bars all comprehension, to be quite honest. How extremely quaint. You think you can just skip across the lines like that? That's not how it works, you know. Oh, leave me alone. How very intriguing, how very strange. This could be worth studying further. It isn't exactly my realm, though. I'm more concerned with the biological sciences. But your form seems solid enough that it might just withstand my preferred methods of examination. How lucky for me. Yes, I do think such a specimen warrants a vivisection. What does that mean? Are you stupid? You have eyes that can see, don't you? The specimen is mine. Familiar voice booms behind you from the direction that your friend ran off towards. You don't even need to turn around to know who it is. You came back for us. You watch as the mad-eyed disciple who had you ensnared releases you immediately, stumbling backward with a frightened frown. Shaking, they lower their hand and back slowly away. You'd better keep them close then, or they might just fade away. And they're gone. Am I forgiven yet? Thank you. Frem ignores your words, grabbing you by the arm and marching forward with you at their side.
Subject.
Setup is complete. We are ready for the third experiment to begin. Well, I guess we're gonna just forget about that other part, and you follow. Now, the sense of understanding.
It's simple.
These are some serums I'm developing. Imbibe them so I may observe their effects. Yum yum yum, delicious. Subject is staring intently down. Hypothesis, subject is hallucinating. There are books on the ground. Wooden shelves embedded into the sand. Let's drink some more.
Oh.
Subject is unsteady. No, stronger variant may work as a sedative. Ugh. I can't move. My movement speed is fluctuating.
Of course.
No effect observed. Control serum functional. Subject appears to be in intense pain. Serum rated as highly effective. It's all red. Sing red. Help me. Effect unclear. Hypothesis. More serums must be absorbed. Note, when conducting further studies, tag the bookshelves to see where they just went. No more bookshelves. No more books. Oh, fuck. Paranoia levels in the subject appear to have spiked. I'm seeing ghosts.
Moira.
Very well, Moira. Experiment completed. Further serums must be synthesized for future studies. Help! Help! Although you're expecting another bout of exposition after that disorienting test, Prim seems to regard you with much less than the usual enthusiasm you're used to seeing from them. Your head's still foggy from the last serum you imbibed. They simply prod you toward the exit of the lab and disregard the barrage of inquiries you have amassed since their prior outburst. They do, however, seem to be acting like you were never subject to said outburst, which does nothing to set you at ease. Man, I do be hating that.
Now.
Now, I have no shortage of things on my plate to deal with since you gave me more valuable data to sift through, so I'm going to assign you more to do than usual for your next excursion. I think you're smart enough at this point to take care of yourself out there, so why not explore more of the Underglow? Clean all you can from moving about as much as your little legs can take you. Perhaps it will help you develop some sense of purpose. Yes, that ought to occupy you well enough. Just come back once you feel satisfied. Okay. So I think we're close to the end here. You again find yourself urged out with haste, but to your surprise, the entrance to their lab seems to remain in its place. Take this as a sign that they seem to trust you, that you will come back to them, however little sense that really makes. You shake your head with a sigh and make your way outside. It occurs to you, after however many twists and turns you take around campus, that you really don't actually know exactly how to leave. After a good deal of wandering, though, you manage to stumble upon what appears to be the cafe your diver friend mentioned earlier, and find yourself attempting to order a drink from a socialite barista. It takes dauntingly repetitious conversation, and many urge to leave a tip on their part before you watch them make one of these drinks, only to realize it was just more tea, or brine as it were, but they certainly did call it tea. Tea. Staring at the covered, glowing cup on the table, you recall the tea party from earlier, and you find yourself thinking with a sense of fondness of the socialites who warmly greeted you on your awakening, doting upon you while you came to understand how you might use your new form to move and grasp. You think of how far you've come since then. It's automatic, seemingly, but before you know it, your feet are taking you out of the cafe, off to the college grounds and into familiar environs. There's some pleasantries and banter being exchanged by familiar voices. You realize you've made your way back to your noble socialite friends, their tea party still well underway. It occurs to you, but vaguely, they're still there? After all this? Ah, well, no matter. What's important is that you found them again. Feel something welling up within you as you approach the table. Oh, look, dear, haven't we met this one before? Why, yes, dear. I did so fondly recall their peculiar behavior with the tea. Welcome back, welcome back. Would you care for another cup? Might as well. I've been practicing after all. Your words appear to startle your present audience, each glancing to one another as you take your seat among them once again. Dearest, was our friend here so well spoken last we met? I don't believe so. My, what a wonderful progression of affairs. Tell us, however did you learn to grace us with such eloquence, my friend? I'll show you what else I can do. With a flick of your wrist, you reach out for your teacup, still sitting prepared for you, and you lift it up to your mask. You drink it. You don't think it tastes like much. Doesn't taste like anything at all, really. But you understand now that socialites aren't wont to really fully utilize anything of substance while they perform their rituals, and it doesn't bother you so long as you perform the task successfully. To your approval, there is a ring of sounds of awe from the onlookers you sought to impress. Socialites clap softly in their delight as you perform their curious ritual with impressive dexterity. A sense of pride wells up within you, but then at that moment, your attention is seized by a sight most unfamiliar. My face and the teacup again. Are we forming a face? Your reflection in the brine. A gasp sounds from the group. Dear, do you see? Aha, well done, well done. This calls for a celebration. Already celebrating, aren't we? Isn't that what parties are for? Oh, how fortuitous. We indeed already have all that we need right here. This calls for more tea, wouldn't you say? Yes, yes, more tea. Celebrate our friend's new face. Oh, yay. I have attained my face. The laughter dies down. The socialites have resumed their ritual. It's all repeated pleasantries and cordial remarks and empty politeness, all as a play pretend session might play out. As the tea party goes on, you keep looking down in your reflection in your cup. You haven't drunk any more. They aren't looking to you anymore either, to feign interest in their charade. Though you know it was only a matter of them settling back into their norm, you somehow feel a certain disappointment. You planned to tell them all about your journey. You wanted to share the experiences with them. You wanted to tell them of the diver who let you realize what you wanted for the very first time. Realize that you wanted to have a friend, to share in the moment, to share the ache, to shoulder the burden together. You thought maybe your worries could be cast away again. But you realize that these socialites haven't reached that point. Not yet. You stand up from your seat. Oh? Did something occur to you, my friend? Ugh. You seem far off and away from us. Ah, dear, I get the feeling maybe they have somewhere else to be. Yes. On my purpose. You abscond from the party with haste. You don't even stick around to hear their farewells. You need to get back to your... You must return to Prim. You aren't sure you really had to follow the same path back, it seems. Now that your feet simply take you to where you want to go with more ease than ever. You feel a feather light as you round the corner into the college hallway that takes you to the lab, and are soon through its doorway with a pronounced excitement that almost makes you feel ill. Behind the flasks of spiritfish, you identify the floating lights of Prim's brilliant hair. That familiar scent of smoke wafting about from their device placed in the corner, like incense permeating the space. Prim. They turn to you.
Oh. Subject.
You swear that for just an instant as they look upon you. There's no expression on Prim's face that you've never seen them make before. It catches you so off guard that you don't have a chance to say any more before a swell of tendrils surrounds you. You are just in time. The preparations are complete. Feels red. There's something about their voice in this moment that freezes you in place.
Subject.
I have another experiment for you, subject. I'm sure you have a lot to tell me about the things you learned. But right now, we must continue with our testing. You hear a click from the device in the corner, which then begins to suddenly churn out smoke in a thick, dense fog. The intoxicatingly sweet and familiar scent hits you powerfully, but this time the calm that you encountered before doesn't follow. There's an overbearing, choking pressure on all sides. You can't move. Your tendrils have you rooted and firmly in place. Take it in deeply now. Oh my goodness. There's no room for the panic that wells up within you. You couldn't partake of it if you wanted. All is then drenched in a black and harrowing silence as you fall asleep again.
Subject.
Subject expected to exhibit curiosity. Observation in progress. More drinks. Alright, let's drink. Yes, I refined the serum formulas. Test them all. I open books. Oh no. It's fishy. No effects? Oh, fuck.
Subject.
Very good, subject. Stay here. There's one more. We gotta get out of here. They're gonna chase me. They're gonna do something horrible.
Subject.
Please stop looking at the gap between the pillars. No! Leave me alone. I don't want to be here. I'm going to run.
Subject.
No, I'm not coming back. Leave me alone.
Subject.
Please don't leave, subject. No, I will be leaving. You won't even tell me who Moira is. Damn, we're just walking here out in the fog and we don't know where anything is. It's just in the middle of nowhere. Are we gonna escape? I've lost my way. I don't know where to go, what to do. Is someone chasing us? Anyone chasing? We're just gonna keep going. The music is scaring me a little bit. Huh? What happened? You had your chance to run, but you have to pray that Prim will listen. Hear a noise unfamiliar. A wail. Pang of something unpleasant hits your chest. No. Comes from deep within. Threatens to break through, to crack the surface of your form. But you can't break this form just yet. Not again. A sob. Tears prick at the corners of your eyes. Your new eyes for your new face. Flask broken on the ground catches your eye. The glow of brine as it forms a puddle begs your interest. You see your reflection once again. A face. You don't recognize it. Do you see it? Let me look at you. Oh! Is that Prim? What happened to your hair? Turn to Prim. There's an odd calm to their figure. No longer do you see tangles of tendrils floating around them, grasping at nothing. The glow of light is gone from their hair. It only sends sliply, a dark curtain over one eye, and draped heavily upon their slouched shoulders. There's no smile on their gleaming visage. They look upon you with trepidation. In silence, their eye scans your face for something familiar. Their search appears to come up empty. All that they see is someone they don't know. That's not fair. The words echo in your head. It's not fair. You start to feel it too. They must have gotten it wrong. But you, it's... No. No, no. No, they couldn't have been wrong. They did everything right. The smoke, you knew the smoke. You weren't like other masks. You weren't scared of the smoke. That's right, Moira always said that it brought them such warmth, such familiarity. It was one way they would always find each other again. There's no way it wasn't you. No way you aren't Moira. Ah, but you, that face, you aren't. Ah, it may just be impossible. All this time, yes, of course, Moira wouldn't have kept it. No spirit fish could have kept their individuality. Even with their awareness intact, they must have blended with the schools of fish around them to become. It's not them.
You are my Moira.
I can't deny it. Those memories, they aren't. I don't have any of them. I'm not Moira. I was only a fish in a school of other fish, shone brighter than the rest. But we all blended together. No fish knew itself from another. When we become like that, there's no going back. Yet somehow, I woke as a mask. Again, newly adorned, with a new chance. But I didn't come out of it the same. And I couldn't be who you wanted me to be. I feel lightheaded.
I see.
So maybe I should have stayed away.
I'm not. Prim isn't. They're not. Too much has changed.
You've changed. We have. It's cold. Or is it hot?
Well, it's all subjective anyway. I won't think about this anymore. In fact, I would like to release it all. Thank you for your contributions. Maybe there will be a next light, or ourselves will mix down here in the toe.
Well,
There is always the prospect of you finding me again. Just don't make the same mistake I did.
oh,
Don't you look for me.
Edge. Oh, it was very beautiful though. Nice little experience. All right. head over to Twitch. Alright, so we are gonna raid a Rhino Snacks today. Let's go and raid Rhino Snacks. Oh, maybe I should actually like click through this. Oh, Suzel! Good night everybody. GG's. Let's drop. Okay. Good night, sleep tight. Da -da 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 -dum -dum.